Welcome to the Explainer. So today, we're looking at this incredibly fascinating collision of two massive worlds, climate action and emerging tech. We're going to break down exactly how digital tools are stepping up to tackle our biggest environmental issues. It's this entirely new space where finance, sustainability, and technology are all basically converging at once.
Which brings us to a huge, kind of provocative question for today. Can blockchain actually save the planet? Now, I know that sounds like pure sci-fi, but we're going to see exactly how distributed ledgers are creating some very genuine, much-needed accountability for carbon emissions. Okay, let's dive right into this. We've got a 5-step roadmap today. We'll start with the carbon footprint problem, move on to the emissions trading market, check out the transparency challenge, explain blockchain as a trust machine, and then wrap it all up with real-world carbon blockchains. Let's get to it.
Starting off with Section 1, the carbon footprint problem.
Before we even touch the tech side of things, we have to establish why we're doing any of this in the first place. Calculating a carbon footprint is literally the primary step to realizing the real environmental cost of a company's operations. It's a super simple, undeniable truth, right? You absolutely cannot fix what you do not measure. So for any organization out there, whether it's a massive global shipping network dropping packages at your door, or just a local manufacturer, nailing down that footprint calculation with solid, reliable data is the absolutely crucial first step for everything else that follows.
Think of corporate climate action kind of like a financial budget. Step 1 is calculation, just figuring out exactly where you stand. Step 2 is actively reducing that impact as much as humanly possible through better, more efficient practices. But let's be honest, here's the reality. You usually can't eliminate emissions entirely. There's almost always something left over. And that brings us to Step 3, offsetting the remaining carbon. Offsetting is all about balancing the books for those last few tons that just can't be engineered out of the process.
Moving right along to Section 2, the emissions trading market.
So we know companies have to offset what they can't reduce. But how big is that market, really? Well, try up to $120 billion. Yeah, the global carbon offset market is just staggering in scale. It's currently estimated to be worth somewhere between $40 billion and $120 billion. This isn't just some tiny niche, feel-good environmental side project. It is a colossal global financial ecosystem, and it's designed specifically to push industries towards sustainability.
Now, in this massive market, if a company comes in under their emissions quota, they can sell their extra credits. If they go over, they gotta buy. And this basically happens in two main ways. First, you've got VR, or voluntary emissions reduction. This is the voluntary carbon offset market, where organizations proactively take the initiative themselves to invest in green projects, things like reforestation or sustainable agriculture. On the flip side, there's CER, Certified Emissions Reduction, which is strictly driven by regulatory compliance frameworks, basically the rules they have to follow. Both of these channels are heavily utilized by companies trying to navigate their transition to greener operations.
Which brings us to Section 3, the transparency challenge.
Now, there is a pretty fatal flaw in how this massive market currently operates. I mean, think about it. If a giant corporation claims that your recent flight or your online purchase just funded the planting of a whole forest, how do you actually know it happened? As our source points out, there's a serious lack of visibility in the advancement of projects and where exactly the funds are spent. Because of this, consumers and regulatory bodies are highly skeptical. It is notoriously hard to track the actual advancement and governance of these natural capital projects. And without that clear visibility, well, fraud and greenwashing can easily creep right in.
And this brilliantly illustrates our next point, Section 4, blockchain as the trust machine.
I want to intentionally slow things down here for just a second. Because when you hear the word blockchain, your brain probably goes straight to complex, volatile cryptocurrencies, right? But let's completely separate the two for a minute. In the context of carbon markets, think of blockchain simply as an unchangeable, transparent public receipt. It offers the immutability of time-stamped data and total trust in provenance. That basically means once an entry is made, like, say, a ton of carbon is offset by a verified green project, that data literally cannot be altered, hacked, or faked. It brings absolute mathematical trust to environmental claims. It's a total game changer.
Let's actually trace the journey of a single carbon emission on this unchangeable ledger. Step 1, the footprint is calculated accurately using real supply chain data. Step 2, that required offset is tokenized, meaning it's turned into a unique, trackable digital token right there on the blockchain. Step 3, It's seamlessly traded or invested in by a company that needs to offset their footprint. And finally, step 4, tracking the impact. Every single step of this journey is mathematically proven and recorded transparently. So this isn't just theory anymore. It gives everyday individuals and massive regulators complete, undeniable visibility into exactly how and where these funds are actually deployed.
Let's move to Section 5 and see how this builds into real-world carbon blockchains.
It's time to step out of the theory and look at the real-world market shifts happening right under our noses. Check out this incredible milestone, 35 million euros. That represents a massive green bond issued by BBVA. And here is the truly groundbreaking part of this. It was issued entirely via a smart contract on the blockchain to finance sustainable projects fighting climate change. They're using this distributed ledger technology right now to ensure the funds automatically and transparently do exactly what they're supposed to do. It cuts out the friction, and it completely cuts out the doubt.
And BBVA is definitely not alone here. Major platforms are actively leveraging this tech today. We're talking about marketplaces like Viridium Labs, Climate Trade, and Climate Impact X. They are driving secure investments in natural capital and making transparent carbon credit trading a reality. They literally do this by mapping real-world carbon sinks directly to digital tokens, so buyers know exactly what they are funding. You've also got corporate solutions like BASF's AgBalance, calculating sustainability from the ground up, while ArcNet traces the footprint of livestock. They are all actively fighting fraud and providing totally clear visibility across the global value chain right now.
Which leaves us with a final, pretty provocative thought to wrap things up. As blockchain introduces this totally unprecedented level of immutable, unchangeable truth to environmental claims, how will radical transparency change your own consumption habits and corporate expectations? Think about it. If you can suddenly see the absolute verified truth of exactly where a company's green investments are going, if that carbon neutral label on your bag of coffee actually has hard mathematical proof behind it, it changes the entire dynamic of consumer trust. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I really hope you're leaving with a much clearer understanding of how blockchain is genuinely becoming a trust machine for our planet. Keep learning, and I'll catch you next time.